So today we're going to be talking about cards on the ban list and on OCG ban list that could potentially get a hard once per turn in the future. And it's just a small list of cards that I have, so let's get right into it. So first off, I want to talk about cards on the OCG list. We have Cannon Soldier, MK2, Cannon Soldier, Toon Cannon Soldier, and Amazon's Archer. But I did add Fire Princess on this as well, because these are all cards that deal burn damage that are hard once per turn. For Cannon Soldier, MK2, Cannon Soldier, Toon, Cannon Soldier, and Archer, they're all forbidden in the OCG because of FTKs, and currently there's a Telefon FTK that's roaming around for both TCG and OCG, and if they ban all of those, that's absolutely fine, as people can just go on to Fire Princess, being a level 4 Fire, Pyro. Each time you gain life points, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. This works super well with Telefon, as every time you gain life points, they burn life points. We know about Toon Cannon and Cannon. Tribute 1, inflict 500. Then you have MK2, Tribute 2, inflict 1500, and Archer is in Tribute 2, inflict 1200 to your opponent. So, overall, these cards I could see in the future getting a hard once per turn. Now let's get into the actual cards. First off, if it's Eclipse Wyvern, this card was used a lot for Dragon Link and a lot of other essential pieces as well. If it's sent to the graveyard to banish a level 7 or higher light or dark dragon type from your deck, and if it's banished from the graveyard, you can add that banished monster to your hand. So if they were to errata this card, it would be perfect timing right now to help sell things like the Dragon Collide restructure that's coming out in the next year, because we got a trademark for that back in 2021. After that, this card was in a myriad of different decks, which is insane trying to recite all of them. There was originally the Chaos Dragons deck, Erratic Chaos. You also had Dragon Rulers, because that was actually very good, getting your Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon out of the deck. Then you also had many other decks like Dragon Link and so on and so forth. But overall, putting a hard up on this card definitely solves a few issues, but it doesn't solve every issue. After that, we have Perform H Plus Fire. Honestly, this card can go to 1 with no problem, but to push it to 3, you would need to put a hard up on the monster effect. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you could special summon Perform H from your hand or deck. So you could put it to 1, it would be just fine. But if you put it to 3, you have to put the hard up on it. After that, we have Level Eater. We all know that this card was abused to hell in early Link formats because Link Kuriboh was a card, and also it was able to Link climb. But you can either do one of two things. You can either put a Synchro Lock on it or a hard once per turn lock. I would rather have a Synchro Lock to the card if this card is summoned from the graveyard. This face-up card on the field cannot be distributed except for a tribute summon or can only be used for a synchro summon. So cannot be tributed and only can be used for a synchro summon, which would be perfectly fine. Overall, Level Eater is just one of the cards that synchro players do miss a lot because it gave them utility that they didn't really have for certain pieces, as it was part of a 1.5 card combo or 2-3 card combo just to summon out Quasar. But now these change and you can still summon out Quasar just fine. After that, we have Fishfork Blaster. This is a oldie but goodie. If you troll a level 3 lower water monster, you can discard 1 card, special summon this card from your graveyard, and if this card is used as a synchro material, all other materials must be water. Honestly, with this card, it can go to 3, or it could go to 1, but it could give power to water decks. Like Tearlament could run it as a free link material, but if you're running the frogs, that would be the way that you would have to. Because I do know that tier players are running Toad, totally awesome, along with Swap Frog and all that. So putting a hard once per turn on this could definitely fix that. But again, we don't know if they're going to or not. And outside of that, definitely feel like this is one of the more powerful ones that I kind of wish would come off because of Goatee. Goatee being a fish deck and this being a fish tuner. Afterwards, Mindmaster. Psychic said who? Mindmaster, you just pay 800 life points. You tribute a psychic monster except this card, except Mindmaster. And then you just summon out a level 4 or lower psychic monster from your deck. This was part of a FTK. I'm trying to remember what FTK it was, but I think that FTK is dead because it needs a Dark Strike fighter. But outside of that, Psychics kind of just suck. This card could go to 1 and no one's gonna run it, which I find funny. Outside of Punk decks, of course. But in all seriousness, paying 800, you can use it with Psychic or Research Lab or whatever cards that nullify the cost to activate it, being paying 800. And outside of that, Mindmaster is just one of those cards that, for its type, has really just not been good. You could put a hard up on it, but other than that, Psychics, I would just put it to 1 just to give Psychic players something, which could be pretty cool as a 1-up tech in things like Cosmo, but outside of that, not so. Now the 2 plant FTK cards, Cluster Amaryllis and Sour Lotus, you just put a hard up on this and yeah, that solves many problems. Now, finally, for 2 extra deck monsters, Elder Entity Norton. This card was abused super hard with Instant Fusion and in Zodiac format. So, this card right here, I still have PTSD because of this in Zodiac format. But before Zodiac, I loved the card. It was great utility. And in my opinion, I feel like it could come back to 1 only with a hard up, or if you ban Instant Fusion, which could be a solution for that because it takes 1 synchro, 2 synchros, 2 exceeds, 1 of each. So there could be possibilities on that. And finally, Zodiac Broadbull. Speaking about the PTSD itself, this card can come back if it got a hard op. The search for it is a soft once per turn, not a hard once per turn. And honestly, I know I'm missing a few cards though, but this is one of the ones that I definitely think could just slide off the list with that hard op. Or you could just put it to 1. And it would just be there as a Beast Warrior searcher. In all honesty, there's just a lot of cards to go after. I could talk about Block Dragon, but it already has a hard once per turn for the searching. But for the summoning, that could get a hard once per turn. You also have things like Master Plan with adding the Spiral Mission could be a hard op. Other cards as well. I'm not going to talk about the jars. Dandelion could, but that kind of just ruins the nostalgia of the card. Magical Scientist was one that I didn't put in here. This card could get a hard up, but again, Magical Scientist is not that good anymore. But you could still summon out multiple monsters for free link materials. Substitute could get a hard up as well. I skipped over a couple cards, but I would have to say there's many cards on the Forbidden Limited list that could get hard ups, but tell me which one that you would like to get released off the list and have a errata to, from what it is to a hard once per turn. I'm really interested because there's quite a bit of cards that can get it, and it would solve a lot of issues and make the actual Forbidden section down from 100 to whatever it could be. But I have been Bolt Spider. If you guys did enjoy, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. But anyways, see you guys in the next video.